This is the Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe. We are in the salubrious confines of Brooks Club. To my left is a big wall of yellow windows, and the light comes in, and it's bizarre. It makes everyone look sick.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Could you tell me your show title and what you do, please?
Yes. So our show is David and Katie Get Remarried, and my name is Blair Russell, and I'm the producer of the show.
How are you today, Blair? You well?
Yeah, it's a bright sunny day outside, a little warm, a little exciting, but that always makes things better.
Yeah, it's nice to have a sunny day, although, as I've said often, Edinburgh is its own microcosm of weather.
Yes.
It defies physics, it defies weather. This place just exists on its own. I love it, but...
You have to have layers,
Yes.
a lot of layers.
Yes, many layers is the key.
Because you never know what to prepare for at any given time.
Yeah. So let's talk about David and Katie Get Remarried.
Yeah.
What is David and Katie Get Remarried?
It's kind of what it says on the tin. So David and Katie Get Remarried is about two... I don't want to label them too hard, but two very interesting people, David and Katie, who got divorced 4 months ago, but tonight they are getting remarried. They've decided to resurrect their marriage, and in this very special wedding ceremony, the audience gets to be the witness to their remarriage in a very uniquely them wedding. So not your traditional, big white dress, walk down the aisle, priest, any of that. And the sort of fun thing about David and Katie getting remarried is that they've decided not to tell the venue that it is a wedding. They decided to tell them it's a show, because if you tell them it's a wedding, they charge you 10 times the price. But if you tell them it's a show, it's much cheaper. So, we go through their wedding ceremony and see these two people get remarried, hopefully.
Now, I assume that because there's a show about it, it's not based right off into the sunset happily ever after. I assume there's a pinch somewhere.
Hey, it's actually open to interpretation. There's a little bit of an ambiguous ending. You have to come and find out what you think.
How did you get involved in the show?
So I've known one of the performers and writers, David Carl, for about 5 years. We actually met during the pandemic, and we were working on a project together that was a binaural radio show. And when I first got to know him, I realized he had a ton of experience doing a variety of different things. He's, improv, sketch, does Shakespeare, like a really talented actor. He had been to the Fringe a couple times, once with a show called Gary Busey's One Man Hamlet.
I vaguely remember that.
And one called Trump Lear. So we've known each other for a while. He reached out to me about this show about a year and a half ago and said, hey, this is a really interesting project that we're working on. They've been doing some performances in New York, and he just asked me if I was interested and wanted to chat with him about it. So I met him and Katie at a lovely Mexican restaurant, and we talked about the show. And then months down the line, I was thinking about things I wanted to bring to Fringe, and the show popped into my head.
How has the show changed from what it was when they were doing it to when you brought in to what's on stage here in Edinburgh?
Yeah, so they've been developing it for 10 years, and I really only got involved in the last couple of years. And the show started out being like an hour and 20 to an hour and 30 minutes, and that really doesn't work in Edinburgh for most things.
Most shows are kind of cut down to about an hour.
Yeah, and so my directive for them was, of course, it should be an hour so we can fit into our time slot. So they did those changes, but they also spent a lot of time thinking about, who is the audience here? Having lived in New York myself, and them both living in New York, that's a very specific audience. They get certain references, and certain things are funny that it's not the same when you're here in front of an international audience and a UK audience. So they did a lot of work to update things and change things just to make them more relevant for the audience, but also just, 10 years ago, the same jokes don't necessarily hit the same. So
time moves on, it evolves.
Yeah, so they've tightened the show. They've made it very specific to where they're performing. That's kind of part of the nature of it, is the space that we are in is the space in which we are getting remarried, and it's not, some third space. It really blends the line between fiction and reality. So, yeah.
So, without wishing to spoil it, what is the kind of reality of this? Who are David and Katie?
So, David Carl and Katie Hartman are an actual real-life married couple. The funniest part of the sort of development of this is that they started writing the show before they were together. So at the time, they thought, we'll just name them David and Katie because that's easy.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of build these characters out of it. But it turns out that maybe doing a show about your fictional toxic relationship when you are in a real relationship starts to make the audience question you and say, how much of this is autobiographical?
Yeah.
None of it is. There's little facts about the characters that they've taken from their own lives, but otherwise it's all kind of fictionalized versions. I wouldn't even say of themselves, just other people who happen to be named David and Katie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when an actor played, like when Bill Murray was in Zombieland.
Exactly.
Like, it's not Bill Murray, but it's Bill Murray.
Right, or Neil Patrick Harris and
Yes.
Harold and Kumar. It's
Exactly.
like we use my name, but we all know this isn't the actual people.
Yeah.
Although in this show, if you don't know them personally, you might come into this space and think, okay, I know they're performing, but is it all a performance? Is it all an act? What's real? And they do a good job of blending that world.
So how much of this is written to script and how much of it is improvised by David and Katie on the day?
Because they're both talented improvisers, they have that skill and that ability, and because there is some audience interaction, some of it is just in response to what happens in the best way. But I would say 95% of what happens in any given performance is scripted, as in from beat to beat. In between those moments, they find new, unique things. They change their performances every night. It depends on the energy of the audience. It depends on the people that they pick for different audience interaction moments. So it's like very, very tightly scripted, and any given moment has room for them to improvise and play around with it.
What's the change that you've seen that's made you be like, holy shit, that's amazing. This is incredible?
I think the biggest thing is being in the space that we are, being in Bristow Square and having them literally comment on, okay, we are in Edinburgh, Scotland, and we had to talk about things like Taco Bell in the show, which mean something very different here, but finding really fun ways to comment on that. Or there was a joke that was really added in like 3 performances ago about a Sainsbury's local, which really hit hard in front of this audience, but never would make any sense in New York. Yeah. So it's the fun things like that where, you see that be the biggest laugh of the night because it's so specific, even to people who are traveling here and are like, oh, I've been to that store. Those are the really fun things. And then the intimacy to the audience in this space at the Fringe. It's just exciting. It's just being late at night, being at 9:50 p.m. and having that audience come in and walk in and say, like, what am I getting into? I'm ready for something a little bit weird. That's exciting too.
As well as the improvised nature and the comedy of it, I mean, remarried is one of the most important words in the show. Is there some tenderness to it? Is there some sweetness between them?
Yeah, I would say it is a really in-depth look at complicated relationships. You might say codependent. Some people might say toxic. But the whole thing is based in love, which is what makes it really interesting. And I think that's true of any relationship, right? Like, there's always going to be complications.
Yeah.
And the big question, especially when you say remarried, the big question is like, should these two people be together because they love each other? Is love enough? Is that a good reason to stay with somebody? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe none of us know. Maybe the point is just asking the question and then watching two people play it out in real time.
Now, going slightly into spilling the tea territory
Yes.
here, has anything happened on stage where maybe one of them has made a joke and the other one didn't expect it, but it hasn't gone over so well? And it's like, right, when we get home, we need to have a talk. Is that...
what's really interesting? So I spent a lot of time in the dressing room there with them and, with the crew and everything. And I think, I cannot speak for them personally other than what I observed, but I think that they, in writing the show and developing it, had to figure out what is the line between work and home, because they leave the show having just gone through all of that very high energy and very dramatic, sort of moments, and then they had to go home and do like the normal couple things. And I'm married as well, so I think for them it's very much about work is work and our home life is our personal life, and so. I will see them pitch each other jokes before the show, but everything is with the approval of the other person.
Okay.
And then obviously in improvised moments, you figure those things out, and that's really fun to see. But I think it's always, how did that hit tonight? Did that feel okay? And, they're very open and good communicators. It's so fun to watch them play the exact opposite of who they are in many ways, but they are such good communicators, and more important, they're good comedy partners. And I think that's how they treat the work, as in, we're not a married couple necessarily here. We are comedy partners, writing partners, and we do that type of work together. In fact, I was in the dressing room and I heard Katie refer to David as her husband off stage, and this was like a week ago, and I was like, oh, I've actually never heard you say that word before, and it shouldn't be weird. I know you're married, but it is weird to hear you say it out of the context of the show and talking to somebody else and say, oh, that's my husband. So I think that they are great at that work, and they've been doing this show for 10 years, and they're in a relationship. So you kind of figure out how to manage those things, and if the mistakes were made, they were before, this run.
Yeah. Now, as a producer, it must be difficult enough trying to rein in one improviser. What's it like trying to keep two of them on track?
I mean, they are such professionals, and they were able to do some work pre-Fringe. They did 4 performances in New York as part of the Women in Theater Festival. And Nicole Biancosino is the director of David and Katie Get Remarried, and that's a festival that she has started in New York. And so that gave them the opportunity to try things throughout rehearsal and through performances to see how it would be here as a sort of tryout, and even talking, like doing the Edinburgh Fringe jokes that they make and things like that. They were doing those in New York to see how it works. So they've never run over. Like, they just know how to time things correctly, and they know how to hit the beats, and they have a sort of almost communication that if you don't know them, you wouldn't know. But on stage, I can see when they're prompting each other, like, okay, we're into the next bit, or, oh, I think you maybe, we messed up that bit, but like, let's just skip and get to where we need to go, or let's jump over to this, next phase. So they care so deeply about the work that it doesn't require a lot from me. I just get to show up and enjoy every night and see what they do differently.
That must be so fun, trying to spot the differences.
Yeah, it is. It is fun because there are times when I laugh because I know the show, and those other audience members might be laughing because they're making a funny joke. But I'm like, oh, I can see what you're doing. And the other thing about it is because it's also musical. It's not a musical, but it does have music
elements.
And that, when you have to deal with music, you have to be in time. You have to be in tune. You have to be in sync. So I think that being musicians together also impacts being improvisers and performers together.
As producer, now that was the good. What's the bad of working with a married couple? And be honest, just between you and me here, just between us.
Us and everybody who's listening. I actually am generally afraid of working with couples because their personal lives can impact the show, and it's happened to me multiple times on multiple projects that I've developed to the degree that they just fell apart, and there's nothing you can do about that. So that's always a risk. But in this case, because they have been doing this enough, and because they're so passionate about the work and they understand the Fringe, them being a couple has not really been a problem at all. And it's actually made things easier because they're both so devoted to going out and flying together and taking care of each other and getting the things that they need. And it's really just been a joy. I don't say that about every single show, and some of them are really hard, but I've been saying to everybody, I produce a number of shows and I say, oh, well, these are my favorites. I'll say that out loud. And
as a producer, that's a brave thing to say.
Yeah.
Especially to other performers.
Well, they need to know. They should take notes. And also, because the show is the last show of the day, it's 9:50 p.m., and it was said in a review, it's the perfect way for me to end my night, to go there and have like joy with them and the audience there and laugh. And afterwards, we get to hang out. David makes cupcakes every day, and we get to eat cupcakes and just be happy, whether it's 5 people or 500 people. Like, it's just a really enjoyable time.
What has the audience reaction been like to the show? Have they been enjoying it? Have you seen people come back to see different versions?
Yeah, I think doing something really, really new like this that doesn't come with a title, it's not a big musical, it's kind of hard to describe and hard to explain, has meant doing a lot of the work ourselves to speak to audiences. But it also means getting in the right people. Like, if you're doing a fun musical, okay, somebody might not like it, but at the end of the day, they've seen people sing and dance and had a good time, and they're probably okay with it. When you do a show like this, you really need the right people to come, because it's not a straightforward story, it's not a drama, it's not musical theater. And we've been lucky. I mean, the reviews that we've received on the EdFringe site have just been amazing. And I've invited all my other casts to come over, and they're all like, oh, what is this? This is different. This is weird. And they've all just fell in love with it. And it's the show that I hear the most about this year, just because it's the one where we are on the ground. We're talking to people. We're getting people in. We're promising people that they're definitely going to enjoy it, because I do think anybody who's been in a relationship can enjoy it. And while there's some specific, like, New York American humor, and that might not appeal to everybody, for the most part, it's just been very, very positive. So, yeah.
And I feel like the title is kind of drawing as well. Like, David and Katie get remarried. Not married, not for the first time, because that happened recently at the Fringe for the first time. Linus Karp got married on stage, who's been on the show before, so congrats to Linus. But remarried. So something's happened, it's gone a bit wrong, and they're trying again.
Well, and that's the key. I think that's the key to the title, like you said before, the remarried. It goes, if it was David and Katie get married, that could be Tony and Tina's wedding. That could be anything, right? Yeah. It's the remarried that makes you go, all right, something's up with these people. What happened? Why are they getting remarried? And hey, they explain that in the first 2 minutes of the show. And then everything else is really watching them, navigate maybe the reasons why they had to get remarried.
Yeah. Where can people find out more about the show and about yourself online?
Yes, so we're everywhere. I tend to be chronically online and as accessible as possible. We have our Instagram and our TikTok, which is at David and Katie Get Remarried. Very easy. There's also a website, davidandkatiegetremarried.com. Myself, I am on Instagram at Blair Russell Productions, and with that, you can see information about David and Katie. I collaborate on a lot of posts and share about all my shows. And I'm also very popular on LinkedIn. I write a lot of LinkedIn posts. You can see my Blair Russell LinkedIn posts, talk about the industry as a whole. And you can find David Carl, Katie Hartman all on Instagram as well. I think it's David Carl Actor and K Hart Sucks, which is, New York comedian. We are all over, so can't be missed. And of course, just see more information about the show, David and Katie Get Remarried, and Fringe website. So, yeah.
And what is next for the show after the Fringe?
I mean, we'd love opportunities to perform in other places. It's so flexible. They've, performed with massive projection screens and here with a little tiny screen in a basement. And so we are having conversations about places that we can go, wanting to take it to different markets, different venues, and just give people a good night and a fun time and a chance to, as I always say when I'm out flying and pitching to people, I'm like, worst case, you'll feel better about your relationship when you leave this show. So that's always a plus.
And are you looking to take it anywhere else? Maybe a film, feature film?
It would be great. It would be a great film. There's already a little bit of film parts to the show as it is right now, just because, you have to come and see a little viral video action. But we would love to have a film. We'd love to adapt it. But I think they really love performing in front of a live audience. And so being able to do that first and foremost is the best thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Katie and David Get Remarried is playing at Frisian at Underbelly Bristow Square at 10 to 10 in the evening every day until the 24th of August. For more information, go to edfringe.com and search for David and Katie Get Remarried. For The Peter Greenwood Show, I've been Peter Greenwood. See you next time.